This is Jhon Durán.
Here's Jhon Durán, takes the shot, Durán!
18 months ago he scored the Champions League winner against Bayern Munich that sent his stadium into a frenzy. Clubs across Europe were chasing him. Now he's on his 7th club at 22 years old, he didn't make Colombia's World Cup squad, and in his last pre-season friendly he was involved in an incident so bad it's still being talked about. So what's exactly going on with Jhon Durán? It's critical to understand why they keep wanting him, because once you understand this, I guarantee you'll never look at Duran the same way again. In this video I'm going to break down what happened to one of the most dangerous strikers in the world and why everyone's telling clubs to stay away from Duran. I have gone through every transfer, every coach and every incident to map out exactly where this went off the rails. So by the end of this video you'll know exactly what happened to Jhon Durán's career. By the way, if you are new here, I'm Pedri and this is the Untold Goal, where we uncover the stories, tactics and opinions that make football the world's greatest game. If that sounds like your kind of football, stick around. Let's start at the beginning, because this makes what came after even stranger. Duran signed for Aston Villa from Chicago Fire in January 2023 for 21 million euros. Almost nobody in England had heard of him and he barely started games. Unai Emery trusted Ollie Watkins as his number one, and Duran spent most of 2 seasons watching from the bench. But here's the thing about Duran, in the 50 minutes he had to play, he'll remind you why Villa signed him in the first place. Long range strikes, a moment of magic in the Champions League, and then the goal that defined his time at Villa Park, the winner against Bayern Munich, sending the whole stadium into a frenzy. 20 goals in 78 appearances, most of them coming off the bench. Villa fans didn't just like him, they built a cult following around him precisely because he thrived in chaos, in broken games, in moments other players couldn't handle. That reputation as England football's most dangerous impact substitute is exactly what convinced Saudi Arabia to come calling. In January 2025, Al Nassr paid Aston Villa 77 million euros for a player who'd made just 7 league starts in 2 years. He signed a 5.5-year deal worth over 19 million euros a season. He was going to line up alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. This looked like the making of a superstar. In reality, it became the beginning of the unraveling. Duran made just 18 appearances across all competitions in 6 months at Al Nassr. The chaos and momentum that made him a super sub in England didn't translate into a slower, more rigid Saudi league system built around one man, Ronaldo. And it wasn't just a tactical mismatch. Reports claim Duran was living 1000 km away in Bahrain with his girlfriend, taking an 80-minute flight to training every single day. Saudi law frowns on unmarried couples living together, so it found a workaround. Al Nassr shut it down fast, calling it, in their words, funny fake news, and insisting his home was minutes from the training ground. True or not, the story stuck. Also, reports throughout his time in Saudi Arabia linked him to a dispute with Ronaldo himself, alongside other unspecified disciplinary issues inside the club. Whatever actually happened behind closed doors, the outcome was clear. By the summer of 2025, barely 6 months after arriving, Al Nassr were already shipping him out on loan. Here's a part of the story most people miss, because it complicates the narrative. Duran didn't flop at his next stop. He joined Fenerbahce on loan and actually performed. 5 goals in 18 games and the domestic Super Cup winner's medal. But even that spell wasn't as clean as the stat sheet suggests. Behind the scenes he was managing osteoarthritis, and reports say he clashed with his own manager, José Mourinho, after arriving late to the team's pre-season training camp. But even a productive loan spell wasn't enough. His time at Fenerbahce ended, and instead of returning to genuine game time, he was loaned out again, this time to Zenit St. Petersburg. Think about that for a second. A player who scored goals and won a trophy on loan still couldn't lock down a long-term future at any of these clubs. That's not a form problem, that's a pattern. And the pattern reached its most extreme point in Russia. 5 minutes into a pre-season friendly for Zenit, Duran got into a physical confrontation with an opposition defender, shoving, then a headlock, then hauling the player to the ground. It only stayed calm because it was a friendly. A referee in a competitive fixture might not have been so lenient. That single moment became a symbol for everything reporters had been hinting at for over a year. A player whose talent kept getting outpaced by discipline issues nobody could fully explain. His time in Russia was disrupted further by disciplinary problems that saw him frozen out of the first team squad entirely. No regular football, no rhythm, no case to make for a national team recall. But this wasn't really about form. Reports described a genuine rift with head coach Néstor Lourenço, one that went beyond anything happening on the pitch. While the rest of the Colombia squad trained together, Duran was training alone at a separate facility, just a few kilometers away. To Lourenço's camp, that wasn't a scheduling mix-up, and then came the moment that sealed it. Instead of showing up to a national team training session, Duran was spotted in the stands, watching his old club Envigado play a second division match. Lourenço didn't dance around it either. At a press conference announcing his squad, he said selection came down strictly to performance and conduct. And when Colombia named their squad for the 2026 World Cup, Jhon Durán's name simply wasn't on the list. The player who 2 years earlier looked destined to be one of the Colombia's biggest stars on the biggest stage in football wasn't even in the conversation. That brings us to now. A loan move to Benfica, his 7th club at just 22, and over 108 million euros in combined transfer fees spent trying to find a system that works for him. Now he's on Benfica, and in his first game he already scored and assisted coming off the bench. Whether this becomes the reset or just another stop on the list is still an open question. But Duran's story is proof that in football, talent gets you the transfer, but it's discipline that decides whether you keep the shirt. I hope you have enjoyed this video, so don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Follow for more.